It's a long minute there. Here we go. We are ready to go. All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Edina City Council meeting. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. It is 7 o'clock, right on the dot, and we are ready to start. Carrie Sinning, our Assistant City Clerk, let you know earlier that we're doing things in a hybrid fashion here. People can listen and watch online if they so desire. Tonight, there's only one opportunity for people to participate with the council, and that is during community comment. We don't have any public hearings this evening. So the council can be addressed on any matter that is of importance to them that's not on the agenda or scheduled for a future public hearing. Otherwise, you'll have 3 minutes to give your remarks to the council on a matter of concern to you. And so having provided that information, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Ms. Sinning to call the roll.
Councilmember Agnew?
Here.
Councilmember Jackson?
Here.
Councilmember Pierce?
Here.
Councilmember Risser?
Here.
Mayor Hovland?
Here. Next is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have a meeting agenda to approve so we can do our work this evening. And is there anyone on the council or at the staff level that wishes to modify the agenda in any form or fashion? All right. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda as published?
So moved. Second.
Member Jackson moves, Member Agnew seconds the adoption of the meeting agenda as published. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adopting the meeting agenda as published, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The meeting agenda is adopted. Now we are at community comment. Folks, we're going to get these phone numbers and contact information on the screen. And while we're doing that, we'll turn to residents in our chambers that wish to speak to us this evening and see if anyone wants to address the council on a matter of concern to them. And one of our residents has appeared magically from behind the monitor there, and welcome.
Welcome, Mayor and council members. My name is Ralph Sickert. I live at 4311 Cornelia Circle. May 7th, 2025, Edina issued a press release titled, "Feedback Sought on Safer Way to Cross France Avenue," i.e. the proposed tunnel under France. That press release stated, if the city decides to move forward, funding would be sought from federal, state, Med-Council in Hennepin County, or money could come from new property taxes. The press release also stated that funding for the project had not yet been established. 2 days prior to the press release, in a meeting with Cornelia neighborhood residents, Bill Neuendorf, Edina's economic development manager, shared that Hennepin County had already informed Edina that they, Hennepin County, would not commit funds to this project. This is important because France Avenue is a county road, not a state road like Highway 100, and not a federal highway like 494. Yes, funding may be sought from the other sources, but given the financial troubles at the Met Council, the state, and the federal government, all of whom are in even worse financial straits than Edina, it would seem the funding solution will in fact be Edina property taxes. In an August 15th, 2024 Sun Current article by Alex Kotzman titled "More Details on France Avenue Underpass," Bill Neuendorf is interviewed, and the article states, the majority of the funding would come from tax increment financing, i.e. property taxes sequestered from the Macy's TIF district. That Sun Current article is further supported by last year's 4-to-1 vote of Edina's Housing and Redevelopment Authority, which authorized up to $30 million of Edina's property taxes to fund the tunnel under France. And to be clear, those 5 HRA members just happen to be our current council members. So, Mr. Neal, I look forward to a simple yes or no answer. Did the Edina Housing and Redevelopment Authority authorize the use of up to $30 million of Edina property tax to fund a potential tunnel under France? I contend the answer is yes, and therefore funding has been established. One is left to wonder, if a tunnel under France is such a great idea, why all the secrecy as to its $20 to $30 million price tag, and where the money is or is not going to come from to pay for it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zickert. Anyone else in the audience wish to address the council on a matter of concern to them? Good evening.
Everyone. My name is Jason Banks. I live on 4331 Scott Terrace. And I'd like to make a comment about the city's tree ordinance, if I may. We've lived in the Morningside neighborhood for 20 years in a modest home. We have a ground footprint of 800 square foot. Recently, we made a small addition to that house of just 420 square feet. On our property lot, we have 6 trees, a mature maple and a mature catalpa tree, both of which we planted ourselves. We have 2 ash trees, which we have treated by an arborist. We have a lilac tree and a linden basswood. To complete the addition to our house, we had to take down one of those trees, the linden basswood. Now, as a result of the ordinance, we've been asked to replace that one tree with up to 12 trees, simply because that basswood was wide in its diameter. The city ordinance forces us to plant trees with a combined diameter of almost 20 inches. Edina's closest garden center, Sunnyside, typically sells trees with a diameter of 1 3/4 inches, including its native birch trees, which we'd like to plant. But the ordinance requirement would mean we'd have to plant 12 of them. There's a farm that sells larger linden basswoods, the same as the ones we took down. They have 3.5-inch diameter trees. But even with that, we'd have to plant 6 of those to be compliant. These become big trees. We only have 40 foot in our backyard. Our arborist has warned us not to plant more than 2 of them. We just don't have the space to allow these sort of trees to grow healthily. Then there's the lack of choice for these trees. We've learned that planting native conifers is not an option, as we'd planned, despite them being recommended by the the Hennepin County. Because we removed one deciduous tree, our only option is to plant more deciduous trees. Then there's the cost. Our current landscaper has approximated it would cost $18,000 to plant all of these trees. We like trees. We want them in our neighborhoods and our properties, and I'm all for a healthy canopy. But there are a lot of numbers and trees and square foot and all of that, but ultimately, we've been asked to replace one tree with up to 12. It just doesn't seem right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here tonight. Ms. Felt, did you have something else you wanted to share with the council? Okay. Yeah, you're entitled to your 3 minutes too, so
I'll try and do it in a minute and a half.
that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So this is the lot that Stephanie and Jason have. This is 4231 Scott Terrace. And
Would you identify yourself and
yes.
give us your address and your occupation, please?
yes, I'm Mary Weatherfeld. I live at 4116 Grimes Avenue South, and I'm the architect for Stephanie and Jason Banks. And we were originally excited about going through this, talking about the tree ordinance. We're like, oh, they've got this tree ordinance. We love trees. We want to, participate in this. So I'm going to kind of go through what I think the argument is for Stephanie and Jason. This is the existing house that was 814 square feet, the existing garage 254 square feet, the addition and the porch, which make up 429 square feet. This is their catalpa and a maple and the ashes that they keep up, and the tree that had to be removed. Currently, the Edina tree ordinance allows protected and heritage trees to be removed without mitigation on unbuilt lots within the building pad and within a 10-foot radius of the building pad. For single-family Edina zoning, Edina zoning allows 25% building coverage on lots over 9,000 square feet. 4231 Scott Terrace is 10,000 square feet. A 2,500 square foot house would be allowed on that. The existing house is very modest at 814 square feet with a detached garage. And it's less than half the allowable footprint. So Stephanie and Jason added 489 square feet between the addition and the porch. This is still 450 square feet less than the allowable square footage of a building coverage on this lot. The tree that was taken down was within the addition footprint, that's right here, essentially within what would have been a building pad on an unbuilt lot. I feel existing R1 lots should be given the same footprint exception as unbuilt or underbuilt lots, and that Stephanie and Jason should be able to take this exception. We all understand maintaining our tree canopy is important, and we, in the beginning, were all for taking part in this, but after having gone through it, I may hesitate to go through it again. And if I'm not mistaken, homeowners who live in Edina can take down a tree and not be penalized for it. I do feel that the tree ordinance, however well-intentioned, is hurting the wrong people and may keep some people from planting trees. So I want you all to know, I appreciate very much living here and everything it has to offer, and I appreciate being able to talk to you about this tonight. Thank you. Oh, and I'll give you this stuff.
Thank you. Yes, would you make those, if you hand those to the clerk, she'll make them part of the record. Our clerk right here. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Banks and Ms. Herman, for being here this evening. All right. Is there anyone else in the chambers that wishes to address the council on a matter of concern to them? Okay. Let's turn to the virtual world and see if we have anybody waiting to speak to the council.
There is nobody in the virtual queue to speak, and it has been over 1 minute, so I believe it is safe to proceed.
All right, very good. Our practice is to have the city manager respond to comments that were made at the prior city council meeting. We generally do that within just a matter of a few days of the regular city council meeting, with responses on the website, on the city website. Those are usually posted up by Friday following a Tuesday meeting, and then we follow up with our city manager for comments as well at the following meeting. And I'm going to turn to him now to see if there's anything that we needed to address from the prior meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, there was one question we had at our May 6th meeting. And that is, will the city consider posting no parking signs on Wilson Road during the Vernon Avenue Highway 101 interchange project? Our response is that we are looking at that request right now, balancing it with the other elements of that detour, and the Traffic Safety Committee is committed to getting a response together as soon as they can, because we know the timing of the project.
All right, very good. Questions from council based on that comment from the city manager, or comments? All right, very good. We're going to move on now to the items on the consent agenda. Member Risser wants to remove the minutes from the work session on the regular meeting on May 6, 2025. She was happened to be out of the country, unavailable for the meeting, and doesn't think it would be appropriate for her to vote on those minutes. So we're going to remove those, 6.1. And then we've got some folks in the audience that have been really generous, that Tom Swenson, I'm going to ask him to introduce, who's with us this evening from the Edina Garden Council and the Kilodale Garden Club. And they can talk a little bit about this labyrinth as well. So we'll remove 6.1, 6.3, and 6.4 from the consent agenda. Does any other council member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda other than the ones identified? Okay. With the exception of items 6.1, 6.3, and 6.4, is there a motion to adopt the other items on the consent agenda in a single motion?
So moved.
A second.
All right. Member Jackson moves, Member Agnew seconds the adoption of the items on the consent agenda with the exception of items 6.1, 6.3, and 6.4. Is there any further discussion on this matter? All those in favor of adopting the items on the consent agenda with the exception of items 6.1, 6.3, and 6.4, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now, back to 6.1, the work session and regular meeting minutes. Member Risser, did you want to make a comment at all, or did I?
No, I just would like to abstain.
Okay. All right. We've got work session and regular minutes from May 6, 2025 to deal with. Does someone care to move the adoption of those minutes?
So moved.
A second.
Member Jackson moves, Member Agnew seconds the adoption of the work session and regular session, city council meeting minutes for May 6, 2025. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of those minutes for both those sessions say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention?
Abstain.
Minutes are approved for both the work session and the regular city council meeting on May 6, 2025. And then let's go to 6.3 and 6.4. When the city gets a donation, or somebody wants to make a donation to the city, we have to get a supermajority approval by state law, and so it requires 4/5 vote of the council. And tonight we've got some, I think, a really extraordinary gift related to something that's going to be adding to the luster of Arneson Acres Park. A couple of the hardworking members of the Edina Garden Council and the Kilo Day Garden Club are here. You know, we just had the plant sale. Was that last week? And on Friday of last week. And boy, it was just a terrific turnout. And I think I spent about a month's worth of mayor's salary there. So it was a good outing, and I'd love to see all the people. So Tom Swenson, why don't you come up with the folks and then explain what's going on here, and then we'll do the resolutions.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. So the Edina Garden Council and the Keeladale Garden Club generously together are donating $30,000 for a project at Arneson Acres Park. It's going to be a labyrinth, which is a circular piece of concrete with this design emboldened into it. And it'll be located at Arneson Acres Park. And we have Esther Haskowitz with the Edina Garden Council, Diane Plunkett-Latham with the Keeladale Garden Club as representing the whole group, but their groups donated this money all together for this project that'll be located in the formal gardens at Arneson Acres. So with that,
I think we should let them speak to the project and the donation too. Ms. Plunkett-Latham, go ahead.
We're very much looking forward to this. It is something that children can do when they're in the park. You follow this path, and it leads right to the center. And we're going to have a grand opening in August for it. And the Brindles have consented to come and play their Alp horns to kick off the ceremony. So we'll have a lot of fun. I'll be watching for this event in mid-August. Or mid-July, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
Good. Please.
We're looking forward to the opening, and for those of you who haven't been in the labyrinth, it's really a meditative sort of walk, and it's a perfect addition to the park. And we thank you for shopping at our sale and for everyone else who's there, because the proceeds that we get from our sale every year is what allows us to purchase everything we need to grow all the flowers you see around Edina, as well as we're using some of the proceeds also for the labyrinth.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you very much, ladies, for being here this evening. Yes, Member Jackson.
Yes, thank you. Where in the park is it going to be?
It's going to anchor the far end beyond the fountain. Okay. On the one end is the gazebo, the center is the fountain, and this will be the far end. So it'll be kind of 3 evenly spaced events there.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
All right, Council, we've got a resolution in front of us to accept this combined donation of about a little over $30,000 from the Edina Garden Council and the Keeladale Garden Club. Resolution 2025-39. Is there a motion to adopt the same?
So moved.
A second.
Member Jackson moves. Member Agnew seconds the adoption of Resolution 2025-39, which would accept these generous donations from the Edina Garden Council and the Keeladale Garden Club for the building of the labyrinth at the Arneson Acres Park facility. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The resolution is adopted. Ms. Sinning has the official resolution. We could get you a copy of it, I think, if you would like that. And then let's do the next matter as well, the request for purchase for the concrete labyrinth at Arneson Acres Park. Is there a motion to approve that request for purchase?
So moved.
A second.
Member Jackson moves. Member Agnew seconds the request for purchase for the concrete labyrinth construction at Arneson Acres Park. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of the item that provides for the approval of the purchase request for the concrete labyrinth at the Arneson Acres Park, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. That's approved as well. So here we go. I hope your contractor is ready to go.
Yes.
Yeah, because I can tell if you want that up in August, you're not messing around. You want get that thing built. All right. That completes the items on the consent agenda. And now we're going to turn to special recognitions and presentations. We got 3 proclamations tonight and an award to pass out. And so I'm going to read that. First one deals with Emergency Medical Services Week, which is something that we have every year, and then we get an update on some important information that pertains to the city and the residents in our city. So let me read that proclamation. EMS Week, May 18th through the 24th, and this will coincidentally coincide with National Public Works Week. But as to Emergency Medical Services Week, the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services fill healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week, now therefore we, the City Council of the City of Edina, do hereby proclaim May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the City of Edina. And the theme of EMS's 51st anniversary is EMS Week, We Care for Everyone. We encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities in honor of the EMS profession and the essential services it provides. Is there a motion to adopt that proclamation?
So moved.
A second.
Member Jackson moves. Member Agnew seconds the adoption of the Emergency Medical Services Week proclamation designating May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the City of Edina. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The proclamation is adopted. And we had the pleasure of having Sean White with us upstairs for our work session today, our training and fire safety chief. And he is here to accept the proclamation. I'm going to walk this down to him. And I think he has some information he wants to share with us as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Council. I also want to show appreciation to city staff for this very valuable recognition. I take great pride in standing here representing the paramedic firefighters of Edina Fire. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the important addition that Edina Police provides with us, co-response in all emergency medical situations. I think this is as we continue to get busier and busier and provide more and more care to our citizens, hopefully it's recognized the phenomenal service that we're able to provide by being able to incorporate all these different pieces to our entire city. So thank you very much for this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, and I was thinking about this as I was reading the proclamation. It must be 10, 12 years ago now that unbeknownst to us, the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta did a study about where in the United States you were most likely to come out of the hospital after a cardiac event, who had the highest save rate in the country. And it turns out Hennepin County had the highest county save rate, and Edina was #1 in the country in cardiac saves. And we were 4 times the save rate of Hennepin County. And I don't know if they've continued to do those studies in any series, but it was really quite remarkable to get that information. And it's in large part, there was some technology involved with Bluetooth technology and being able to communicate with mHealth Fairview, but the quality of our EMS services that you run and make sure that well serve the people of Edina was an extraordinary part of that savings that goes on here, of saving human lives day in, day out. So we thank you for that great work that you do on behalf of all of the residents of Edina. You are a superb crew, and we're happy to recognize you this particular week, and every week of the year for that matter. So thank you. Thanks for being here this evening as well.
Should we have all the EMS people come up and do a photo, or is that?
Yeah, if you want, you want another photo?
I want to honor all of them. They're shy. They're sitting in the. They're okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a nice thing to ask. Yeah, thank you. All right. So next is a proclamation involving National Public Works Week, and Brian Olson, our public director is here. So our Public Works Director here to help us out and tell us about what's going on in the city with respect to Public Works. So the proclamation reads as follows: National Public Works Week, May 18th through the 24th, 2025. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, programs, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Edina. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment and sewer systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Edina to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Edina, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025, as National Public Works Week in the City of Edina, and we call upon all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protect our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Is there a motion to adopt the proclamation as read?
So moved.
Second.
Member Jackson moves. Member Pierce seconds the adoption of the National Public Works Week proclamation designating May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week in the City of Edina. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of the proclamation as read say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Brian, you want to come up here? Mr. Olson, Director Olson, the proclamation about National Public Works Week, and have our Public Works Director speak.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for reading and approving that proclamation. This year's theme, People, Purpose, and Presence, highlights 3 cornerstone ideals that motivate public works professionals to serve in their communities every day. Meeting the needs of people is what gives public works its sense of purpose. Many times, public works professionals don't even meet those that have been impacted, because when things are going right, no one knows that Public Works is there. But day after day, Public Works is ever present, working in the background to advance quality of life for all. We value this community and the role that engineering and Public Works professionals provide on a day-to-day basis in keeping it safe and functioning smoothly. For the last 65 years, National Public Works Week has been designed to increase public awareness by enlightening the public about duties, practices, and goals of each of their public works professionals. So once again, thank you for reading and approving the proclamation declaring May 18th through the 28th as National Public Works Week, and thank you for supporting our efforts over the years. It is only with the dedicated efforts of a highly motivated Public Works Department, well-maintained equipment, and resources provided by this City Council that allows us to perform excellent public service every day of the year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Olson. I think that everybody in our community, and especially this council that has more direct interaction with you, realize what a fabulous job you do day in, day out in our Public Works Department, making sure that everything functions as it should function in Edina. And the only people that probably don't appreciate it are kids that don't like going to school all the time in the wintertime because we got the best snow plowing in the country. So there's no snow days in Edina. Having said that, thank you for the great work that you do, and we'll give you a round of applause as well. And thank you for being here to accept the proclamation. And one more thing going on in May, it's typically Preservation Month in Edina, and it is again this year, and we've got a proclamation regarding Preservation Month, designating May 2025 as Preservation Month in the City of Edina, and that proclamation reads as follows: whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas Preservation Month 2025 is sponsored by the Edina Heritage Preservation Commission, and now therefore we, the City Council of the City of Edina, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Preservation Month and call upon the people of Edina to join their fellow citizens in recognizing and participating in this special observance. Is there a motion to adopt the proclamation as read?
So moved.
I second.
Member Jackson moves, Member Agnew seconds the adoption of the proclamation as read, declaring May 2025 as Preservation Month in the City of Edina. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of the proclamation as read say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The proclamation is adopted, and we've got Katie Pope, the Vice Chair of our Heritage Preservation Commission, here with us this evening to accept the proclamation. And then we've got some other things that we're going to be doing tonight. We've got some residents here that are going to help us celebrate a special event. But let's take care of this proclamation first, and you may have some remarks that you wish to make before we get on to the next portion of the agenda involving the Heritage Preservation.
Come back down in a minute with something here.
Oh, thank you. You have the. Right up here with me, that's perfect.
So every year we have an Edina Heritage Preservation Award that we give out, and we've got one this year. And Katie, I'm going to bring it down, and you've got some of the folks with you that are going to be accepting that award. And I think it's good, best if I bring it down now, and then you can.
Okay, perfect. Oh, great. Well, I'm Katie Pope. I'm Vice Chair of the Heritage Preservation Commission. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak about this charming piece of history in Parkwood Knolls and this year's Edina Heritage Award for 2025. Jim Frey is here tonight, along with his wife Mary, are the current homeowners and the family who led the efforts to save the cabin. And Elise Matney, a neighbor of Jim and Mary's, who submitted for this year's award, and her article was originally highlighted in the Stroll Parkwood Knolls magazine. The first photos that you're seeing now are show the cabin in its current location. It was originally built in 1932 for dentist Ralph Booz, who provided dental care to Native Americans in upstate New York. He commissioned a skilled Native American craftsman to build the cabin in its original location, which is now redeveloped as Mirror Oaks of Edina. In 1995-96, the Frey family spearheaded efforts including conservation easements and detailed planning to salvage its legacy of preservation, craftsmanship, and cultural significance. There were multiple rounds of planning commission reviews and approvals around the electricity and water to the cabin. The structure is constructed, The structure is constructed using pegs instead of nails. A draw knife was used to remove the bark from all of the logs.
Wow.
When it was relocated, the foundation was built in advance. And after the location, there was existing lacquer and creosote on the logs, which was sanded and removed. Its interior is filled with artifacts from the Booz family, including Ralph's African big game hunts of wildebeest and antelope. There's even a 1947 Philco Ford refrigerator still in its original location. The fireplace is easily the showpiece within the cabin. It's constructed of loose lay stone, fit with no mortar, just concrete set behind the facade. And a fun fact is the cabin was also featured in the 1972 film The Heartbreak Kid, starring Sybil Shepherd and Charles Grodin. The HPC had the opportunity to see the cabin in person, and it's clear why the Frey family worked so hard to preserve it. The detailing is exquisite, and the setting on the Frey's property is out of a storybook. We're so honored to award Booz Cabin as this year's Edina Heritage Award. And please, if there's anything.
It's on? Okay. Thank you, Katie. And first of all, I want to say thank you to Elise for taking the time and having the foresight to chronicle what we had Well, it's been in our backyard for 25 years, and after a time, you become accustomed to it. And it was interesting coming back here, Mr. Mayor, of thinking, this is probably 25 years or more ago. I had to come before the council several times to get the approval for, first of all, electrical and then for water. And it took several rounds of presentation to make that happen. And the cabin itself has been just it's a delight to have. And we've used it on numerous occasions. And I will tell you that the last couple of years, it hadn't been used a lot. And Elise, it was thank you for writing the story about it with able help from your mother and Laura. And so we have now kind of a newfound appreciation. There's a party going on in my house tonight that I am missing part of. And but for the bad weather, there are a number of people who have said, let's go out and take a look at that thing. And so a few of them have tromped out to take a look. And it's a piece of history which is, I remember it as a kid, going by the old Booth house. You could barely see the cabin from Blake Road, but it was always this mystical thing. And when I had a chance to actually, long story of negotiation with the buyer or the developer of the land, that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to keep this wonderful piece of history alive. And it's just a delight. And I'm very pleased to be able to do this. I am but a steward of this, and someone else somewhere down the road will be maintaining this. Thank you all for recognition.
All right, that completes everything in the special recognitions and presentations portion of the agenda this evening. We're going to move on now to the reports and recommendations portion of the agenda, and we've got a couple of matters there. The first one is a resolution 2025-40, accepting donations on behalf of the city. We've got a couple of generous donations to talk about this evening. Is there someone who wants to move on the council the adoption of resolution 2025-40?
So moved.
Member Jackson moves.
A second.
Member Agnew seconds the adoption of resolution 2025-40, which accepts donations on behalf of the city of Edina. All those in favor of adoption of the resolution as provided, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 2025-40 is adopted. The items are accepted for donation, both to the Park and Rec Department, this particular reporting period. Dennis Scholstedt, longtime resident of the city of Edina, lost his wife several years ago, put a couple of beautiful pieces of sculpture up at Centennial Lakes, one a golden retriever, another one that he found out at the Arboretum. And now he's providing us with some maintenance money for Centennial Lakes, a sum of $5,000, very, very generous. And then the Edina Baseball Association, a little over $19,000 for Countryside Park field updates, and that field is looking really good. Every time you drive by there, there's some activity going on there. So thank you to those donors, both individual and association-wise. We really appreciate it. And then next we are on to the item 8.2, which is a potential adoption of resolution 2025-35 and ordinance 2025-05, which involve a request for rezoning And Carrie Teague, our Community Development Director, has this matter. And we took this up a couple of weeks ago, had a public hearing, and now we are at the decision-making time. So Director Teague, going to bring us up to speed on this matter?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So this is the Southdale Office Center site, the 22-acre parcel directly west of Southdale. So the rezoning is to establish the original PCD3 zoning on the site, and the conditional use permit is for the existing offices to become a permitted use or conditionally permitted use. The property owner plans to remodel the two middle office buildings and build a couple of small handicap accessible entrances to those buildings. This action will rescind the 2017 PUD for that large-scale development in which buildings were going to be removed, where the buildings are being remodeled. That project never came to be, so this action would rescind that PUD from the ordinance and establishes the PCD3 zoning district. There was no additional feedback received on Better Together, so we would ask that you adopt the resolution, and for the ordinance, we would ask that you waive second reading. The applicant team is here, should you have any questions of them. With that, I'll turn it back to the council.
And the staff recommendation and the planning commission recommendation was?
Was for approval. Planning commission recommendation was unanimous.
Right, and staff as well. All right, thank you for that. Questions for Director Teague at this point in time? Or for the applicant? We've got the applicant's team with us. Yes, Member Risser.
I did watch the meeting that I missed. One question I have is about having a tree ordinance that addresses the zone PCD3, or what's going to happen when we switch this back because that Oak Grove is not going to be protected?
That's correct. It's not protected under the current PUD, but the hope is with the Energy and Environment Commission, we will be bringing forward an ordinance amendment similar to the residential that will protect trees in our commercial district. So we hope to have that done by the end of the year.
I did not see that on the work plan for the EEC. Maybe I missed it, but
it's one that they've been working on. They have a draft. It's been kind of put on hold as we're working on other elements of that tree ordinance, but it is in the works for this year.
I'm getting concerned. I tried to find the work session where the tree ordinance first came up because I know at that meeting I asked about having language that would cover the commercial zone. And I'm particularly concerned because in our southeast quadrant, we just have such a small, meager tree canopy. And I could not find that meeting. And I also want to find it because of the community comment that came up at the beginning of the meeting, because I thought we talked about tree density and just having it become too much on single-family sites. So I'm going to dig again and try to find that, but if anybody knows the date when that happened, that'd be really fantastic. I feel like it's been over a year of me asking that we have something. So it's troubling that we're at the point where we are and we revert back. You can say nothing really protected it in the PUD, but the PUD did specifically not allow buildings in that area. And you can say, well, nothing's going to happen unless they, come forward with a plan to put something where that Oak Grove is. But I mean, they could take out that Oak Grove anytime. So I really want to see that come forward. Feeling kind of frustrated about that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we got an email from a resident wanting to know about any opportunity to make two places more safe to walk, and that is on the northern end of the property along 62nd Street, or 66th Street, I guess, and then also at the light, and I can't remember which light he was talking about, but he said that he walks that regularly and it's not particularly safe. I know that's outside the scope of what we're voting on tonight, but is there, how can we respond to residents who are concerned about the walkability in this area?
That could be an item for the Traffic Safety Committee to take up.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend that we contact the engineering department to add that to one of their agendas.
I forwarded that email to the developer. They may have a comment on that. I don't know if they were going to take a look at it, but I don't know if they have prepared to comment on that this evening or not. Mr. Smith?
Mayor and members of the council, we have looked at.
You want to give us your name and address, please?
Yeah, Sean Smith. I'm with Southdale Office Partners at 6800 France Avenue South. We have looked into, and we've certainly made improvements to the walkability and the safety of that site. And I think the project that we're doing now in front of you really does enhance the ADA access and those needed improvements for those buildings. I think as it relates to just the general overall site, you know, we've, if you look at some of the areas where that resident had concern, there isn't any infrastructure to connect you to. Like, for example, I think he referenced the intersection, that stoplight that's north of Tavern on France. Well, there's no crosswalk or any infrastructure to get from our site to Southdale Mall, for example. So we've certainly looked into that. Even back in, let's see here, I want to say 2018-ish, we added a sidewalk from Bank of America and we installed the signalized intersection, the pedestrian signalized marker at right there, right by Valley View. And so we've certainly added those enhancements, but at this point, we need a little bit of direction on kind of how that's planned with the city to kind of make those connections in the future. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
And just a general comment that I wanted to make is that these are some of the most beautiful buildings in the city, and I'm really pleased that you've worked so hard to preserve them, and for a lot of reasons. But I'm glad that you're continue to invest in the property and preserve those beautiful buildings.
Mr. Smith, while we got you up here, do you want to come back up and comment on Member Risser's concerns about the Oak Savannah?
Yeah, sure. We've certainly talked to the association. Our current plan, we're not doing any work in those trees. And we've maintained those since we've been a part of this, which is the early 2000s. And so this proposal doesn't consider really doing anything to those trees. And I would say too, I think any future plan, obviously, we would have to come back for that. We need a site plan, and at this point, that might be premature to just to assume something that really isn't being considered tonight. So we've certainly done a lot to that site to enhance. We've added a wood chip path with the light through those trees and everything. So our tenants find benefit in that, and I think if you look back at some of the plans and planning commission comments, and even your comments too, we've modified our plan to protect those trees, and I think the plan that's tonight is really protecting every one of those trees. So,
Risser.
Right, and I have to say I feel for you, because that PUD, it was just, very onerous in some ways. And the ask that you are making to rezone, there is such a logic behind it. My frustration is the fact that we do not have language protecting trees in the commercial zone. So I just want to say I'm not frustrated.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, this is a very logical, reasonable request that you're making. So.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Smith. This may or may not be something you've talked to your team about. Would you entertain a condition on the resolution that would preclude the removal of any of those trees in that oak savanna, except if they were diseased, for example?
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
So, one of the things we can do, because we're passing a resolution tonight, is a rezoning from PUD 11 to PCD 3, and theoretically approving conditional use of office on the site as we rezone it. But as a condition of that resolution, we could put in a provision restricting any removal of any of the trees in that oak savanna along Valley View. And to me, it's something that I think you guys might be comfortable with, because you've done such a good job maintaining that oak savanna, cleaning out all the buckthorn that was there, creating those wooden paths and the lighted pathways. And
Yep. I would maintain that. I just feel like something like that would be premature when there's no plan that would consider removing those trees at this point. We've also worked with the city of Edina on various ideas for stormwater infrastructure, and I believe at one point we were talking about the fire. There was the fire station as a potential location as a part of that. So I think some of those restrictions, while well-meaning, might provide some, inability to get some of those creative ideas in the future that we could partner with too. So
you've got some reticence about doing that, protecting that tree through a restrictive condition on the resolution?
yes, I think anytime you add a restriction on the property, that there's a reticence on our part, yes.
Right. All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members? We've got a couple of different, maybe this is a question for Attorney Kendall. We've got a resolution that requests rezoning from PUD 11 to PCD 3, and then in the context of that resolution sets forth the fact that the office use would become a conditional use on the site, and that also rescinds the prior PUD. That's the ordinance that rescinds PUD 11. Can we vote on them together, or do you think we should separate them out?
I think it'd be clear if you separate them out, Mayor.
Okay. And because I think Director Teague wanted the waiver of second reading on the ordinance anyway, so. All right, let's take up the first matter. Let's take up the resolution 2025-35, which, if approved, would approve the rezoning from PUD 11 to PCD 3, Planned Commercial District, and it would provide for the issuance of a conditional use permit to allow office uses on the site. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We got a motion from Member Member Jackson, second from Member Pierce to adopt the resolution 2025-35. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of resolution 2025-35 say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 2025-35 is adopted. And now ordinance number 2025-05 would rescind the PUD 11, and Director Teague is suggesting that we waive second reading on that ordinance amendment. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance 2025-05 with the waiver of second reading?
So moved.
Member Jackson moves. Member Pierce seconds. The adoption of ordinance number 2025-05 with a waiver of second reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of ordinance number 2025-05 and waiver of second reading say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Ordinance 2025-05 with a waiver of second reading is approved. Both aspects of the requests are approved, and we look forward to seeing the improvements on the property. So we know you've been good stewards We're counting on you to be good stewards in the future as well.
For sure, and you know, we've been here a few times. I did have a few things to say. So, you know, we just want to thank you for this, the approval of the request here tonight. You know, you've all seen this project as it sits today, and you've seen what it could be in various elements. But today is not that ambitious, but it certainly is important. And tonight's resolution really puts a clear set of guidelines in place and allows us to move forward with the confidence. So I would like to recognize, you know, since this has been a process, staff's time. You guys have been just great to work with. So thanks for all the emails and the research and calls and meetings. The community as well. I did not see the president of the Association of Cornelia here tonight, but I know they have done a lot of work and communication in those neighborhoods. So Cornelia Association and the Point of France as well. And then you, I just, you know, we've been through a few of these meetings to 1, 2 o'clock at sometimes, and it just really shows your civic engagement and all that for the city of Edina. So thank you, and we look forward to moving this project forward. Thanks.
All right, Ms. Colpine and Mr. Erickson, thanks for being here as well. Thanks for your good work. Thanks for your good work, Mr. Smith. All right, we look forward to those improvements on those, as Member Jackson says, those two great historic, or that historic complex, really. So, thank you. All right, that takes us actually to the end of the meeting in terms of the actions that we have to undertake. I think I'll jump right to manager's comments. You've got a couple of things you wanted to cover with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just, yeah, I do. Mostly calendar items. This is just a reminder that we are getting, moving into the summer season, meaning that we've got 2 meetings in June, June 3rd and June 17th, and then we don't have a meeting scheduled for the council until July 15th, so almost 4 weeks. And after that July 15th, we have the extra week because of the way the calendar falls. So then your next meeting after that is 3 weeks later. That's August 6th, and that's a Wednesday. The Tuesday of that week is National Night Out, Night to Unite, and council has traditionally participated in that. So the meeting that week is, we slide it into Wednesday, and then August 19th, which is a conventional Tuesday. I just wanted to give you a heads up also from the last HRA meeting. There was interest in having a special HRA meeting to continue your analysis of the RFPs for the 5146 Eden Avenue site. Jen Garsky will be reaching out to you probably starting tomorrow, if you haven't heard from her already, to discover what your availability is for a couple of different dates and time combos in June. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Good. Member Agnew, anything for us this evening?
Yeah, I have a couple of things.
Good.
If Chad Milner were here, I would probably direct these to him, but a couple of questions. We've gotten some concerns, I think specifically with the construction happening over on the other side of 100 about the pedestrian crossway from Grandview Square to the Abador. People not adhering to the flashing lights and just overall concerns of pedestrian safety. And so I'm curious if, at the very least in the short term, but I do understand that these concerns have been a little bit broader than just during the construction, but wanting to evaluate what we can do. I'm not sure there's a ton we can do, but I at least wanted to analyze when there's already the button and I think the flashy lights. But I've gotten multiple calls about concerns in that area. The other one is I received this via email, I'm sure others did as well, of a request for us to reconsider, again, another pedestrian safety issue at Interlochen and Vandervork. So I'm not sure. I just want Chad's opinion on, I know that this one went through the traffic safety report process, but if there's anything else that we could do in that case as well, I think that that would be helpful. And then thirdly, I've gotten some concerns multiple times, but most recently this last week, I think with the changing of the seasons, about the nuisance of leaf blowers, specifically gas-powered leaf blowers. And so I wanted to understand, one, if this is something we've considered. I know that there are a lot of other communities that have bans on gas-powered leaf blowers, but I just wanted to kind of like throw that out there and see if there was any other interest in us as a council exploring that and potentially looking to kind of curtail some of that noise and gas issue that we see. But wanted to just kind of throw that out there.
I can help you on the first two because I've been working on those things as well.
Okay.
So Nick Baller is meeting with the resident who has been hit, almost been hit a couple of times in the crosswalk on Eden Avenue. He's meeting with her tomorrow, I think he said. And they're trying to figure out what they can do there. He said that we've got it as well flashed as you can. Apparently there's different grades of flashing lights, and this is the highest, most visible form. But nonetheless, it's in a tough spot where they cross there. People coming down that hill around that curve. And so they're going to look at, my understanding is they're going to look at that further. Is that your understanding as well? And they're working on that now. And then the second one you raised was the Vandervork Interlaken. And I sent all that data to that person today that he relied on, because I asked him about what did they rely on for that data. And I sent it to the resident, and it may not cure the issue in their opinion. You know, they still would like a way to get safely across Interlaken, which isn't that easy, I'm sure, no matter where you try to cross. So, anything else, Manager Neal, on that?
No, I will check that. I will confer with our city engineer on both of those, and we'll get some report ready to give to you at an upcoming council meeting.
Gas leaf blower issue, that's been raised several times over the last year by residents, I think, with all of us. And I think that would be something we'd want to send to the Energy and Environment Commission. We could talk about doing that, making it part of their work plan, because I think for most cities that have done it, you've got to have a phase-out period. You know, I mean, some guys over at Jerry's now buying a gas leaf blower, you know, and now you've said you can't use that anymore, you know, and so there's usually a 4 or 5 year phase-in period from what I've seen. But nonetheless, an issue probably worth looking at. But we can talk about the work plan, you know. Member Pierce.
The only other one that I had, in addition to the three that we just covered, was we've gotten emails about the train noise, and so I forwarded that. I knew Chad Milner wasn't going to be here, but I did forward him that one and copied Scott. We looked at that, I believe, back in '23 is the last time I remember looking at it, but it would be good to have that looked into and then have someone come back and just give us, just remind us where we are with that and what the opportunities are. And if you remember, it was just around the increase in train traffic and horn and the horn noise. Was tough for me to say. And so that was one. And then the other, this is just a general communication one. With the Braemar burn, we got a couple of emails from a resident that was adversely impacted by that. And so we've responded a couple of times, but that is one where I forwarded to Manager Neal. I felt like we needed a more coordinated response than what we ended up doing. And so that's another one. Where it is now, if you haven't read that email, it does sound as though it is escalating. And so we do need to look at that and just figure out, as a city, a different communication approach to it. And that's it.
On that train whistle issue, I think we've all heard on that one too. And there's a mayor at the U.S. Conference of Mayors that's on the Standing Committee on Transportation with me, was the vice chair for surface rail. And so he happens to be on the board of Amtrak. So I asked him for the names of a couple of consultants we might talk to, because we got turned down on that first request for, what was it, $225,000 we requested, and see if, we might hire somebody that knows a different pathway to get a grant, or we might just have to face up to that notion ourselves of self-funding. So, but those are important issues too. Member Jackson.
Thank you. So we must be getting so much communication, because I also got an email about trying to keep in mind, as the city takes activities into account, places for teenagers to go that's constructive, for places for them to hang out, whether it's a gym or places to eat and stuff. I had a long conversation about that this morning with one of our residents, and the teenagers are speaking out, at least through this gentleman, that they really want places to go. So as we plan Fred Richards Park and the new Braemar Arena and other things, let's try and keep in mind that 8 months to 80 years old perspective as we provide activities and opportunities for our residents.
Thank you. Member Risser.
I feel like I need to catch up because I was gone, but I would like to get, was the neighborhood meeting about the tunnel recorded so that other council members could listen to concerns that were raised at that?
It was not.
I didn't have a sense that it was.
Okay. Are there any plans to have a public meeting about the tunnel?
I would think we would have if we got far enough where we thought we should proceed and have a public hearing about whether we wanted to do it or not, or get public input on the idea.
Well, since there's this is it a 2-week window for people to put comments on Better Together? And there hasn't been an event that all council members could attend and hear what the community is thinking and contribute to it. Maybe, I guess, that doesn't seem to be on the radar. But there is this window for people to comment on it, so that's important to underscore. Another thing that I was concerned about is one of the items is the quarterly financial report and progress portal. And we didn't really do a deep dive into that, but it does include 2025 advisory commission work. And I did mention that plan or whatever, to put language together so that we can have an ordinance that addresses trees in the commercial area was not there. And it makes me wonder if there's other work that commissions are doing that is not listed. And I really would hope that we could get a comprehensive list of all the things that the commissions are working on, because I think that's important, just basic in terms of being able to recognize them. But also, if it's not on this list, it might not really be on their radar. We could get to the end of 2025 and we still don't have anything. So I'm wondering if we need to take another pass at those lists and update those.
Okay.
And then finally, I would just like to end on a more upbeat kind of note. It was wonderful this Saturday to go to Roslyn Park and to be at the Edina Asian American Alliance annual festival, and I really had a good time and learned a lot, and it was just a really great experience. So I want to do a shout out to all the people who worked on that and all of the participants.
Yeah, we ran into you by the food trucks. It was I just segue off of that one too, I guess. It was a great event Saturday, starting at noon with the Edina Asian American Alliance, this whole celebration of South Asian culture from, I'd say, India all the way to China and every country in between. It was really, even on a chilly day that wasn't raining, fortunately, but great turnout and a lot of fun. And then earlier that morning, the Rotary Club had the Edina Rides bike ride. I'd say probably a 30%, 35% of the riders showed up. It wasn't very good, but it was still a great event, and that'll be something that builds on itself too. Just like the Valley View Vibe 5K, that'll be building. All these things are great for a community, and everybody's making our town a better place to live every day, which is really wonderful, I think. I got to say, when I drive around town, these dandelions are really driving me nuts. Like, you know, we've got people in our town that are experts on organic control of weeds, and I just think we should be talking to somebody about. I know that people are sensitive about chemical use in the parks and other places, but some of the places look really just overrun with dandelions, and it's just something I think it's worth a conversation with somebody that does organic treatment over time that could help us out and make things look a little bit better. Just a personal view. And then the boulevards on Valley View and then 66th Street from France to York. Those are two areas that are ripe for, I'd say, reshaping, replanting, get rid of all of the crabgrass and quackgrass in there that we mow for no good reason other than keep it down. But those are two boulevard areas that could look just fabulous if we put in prairie grasses and wildflowers, especially that stretch from on 66th from France by Restoration Hardware, right there where it starts in the new pump house, all the way over to York. That's a big wide boulevard. It could look great with wildflowers and prairie grasses on it. And the other thing I've been worried about lately is pickleball. I know that we're going to see some plans for Fred Richards that are going to be, there's also going to be other things coming, I think, that are going to involve multi-family housing right up next to pickleball courts. And all you hear around the country are people's concerns about the doink, 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 day and night from pickleball. And it makes me think about maybe the Park and Rec should have this conversation about, and I know they've been working on attenuation, rackets and balls that aren't as noisy, but still, I think it's something to be concerned about and think about. And I don't want to diss pickleball. I want to expand pickleball if we can, because it's so enjoyable for people. But like Roslyn Park, we had the perfect spot. It's right by the crosstown, and nobody hears it. It doesn't offend anybody, and people can have a great time. So I think we had to be looking for other spots where we aren't going to create any kind of tension between dwellers in multifamily buildings or even single-family homes in pickleball. That's it for me. Anybody else have any other thoughts that came to mind as a result of these conversations here? Okay. We got TAB tomorrow, and that's about it. We had a team from the U.S. Conference of Mayors here last week that met with about a dozen mayors on different issues that involve federal programming, including the budget process at Congress and reauthorization. That'll be coming up fairly soon. So that was an interesting conversation as well. Is there a motion to adjourn the City Council meeting this 20th day of May 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Member Jackson moves adjournment. Member Agnew seconds adjournment. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adjourning the meeting of City Council this 20th day of May 2025 say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. We stand adjourned.